Can you all hear me? I don't really need a mic, I don't think, but in order to be captured, because we're going to televise this, I think we're actually televising live, we'll use the mic. So we are now open for a special meeting. On to order. We're going to stand, if you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And repeat after me. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States. Thank you. It's good to see half of which are employees. Waiting room out there that's full. Okay, good. In all seriousness, if anyone would like to approach the mic with public questions. No? Oh, roll call first, right? Sorry. Okay, let's do a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilmember Nickel? Nope. Councilmember Brand? Mayor Pro Tem Stuck and Mayor Boyce.
Here, and Scott's son, Scotty, has a birthday today. Chris is not, he's got a back that's not doing too well today, so I assured him he would take care of business over here. So communication. Carl, anyone? No? Okay. Bueller. All right, we're going to move on. So talk a little bit about process, and then I'm going to introduce David King, our city attorney, that's going to talk about the legal jargon here. But essentially, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to cover these 4 questions on the board. I wasn't sure how large of a crowd we'd have, so this is obviously an intimate gathering. So probably be Dr. Brand and I will be sharing scribe. We'll have questions. We'll have to pass the mic along or have you come up. It's probably easier just to pass the mic along, get everyone to share a thought. We'll go through these 4 questions, essentially get information about what is important in the next city manager. Turn it over to Don and Carol after David speaks about just the journey that we're on now, the timeline and all that. But I'll just leave it at this for now. It was really important to us as a council. We reach out to the community, give them the opportunity to voice ideas of what we're looking for. This is a big responsibility for us. We only have 2 direct hires. One is the city attorney and one is the city manager. Only 2 employees that we manage at city council. So this role and this particular hire is very important to us. Dr. Brand has been leading the charge on this in terms of sourcing recruiting agencies, and Carol is instrumental as well. So I'm going to now turn it over to David, and he could just talk about some of the legal jargon, legal part of this.
Mic too. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'm David King. I'm the Assistant City Attorney. To very briefly sort of manage everyone's expectation for tonight, you might, as the agenda makes clear, the City Council is not going to be electing a city manager tonight. So really the purpose of this is just to gain information for the council that they can take into their deliberations and discussions about, who they're going to select as the city manager. So just to manage expectations, they're not going to name names or any specific details. Only the selection of the city manager happens behind closed doors. And so for the council members, I would just encourage you not to obviously make any commitments. Commit yourselves to a particular city manager in this meeting. It's really just to gain input from the community and take that into your deliberations.
Great, thank you very much, David. Brand, say a few words about just the process. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Appreciate your interest in this, and we're anxious to hear what your thoughts are. This is coming about because our city manager is retiring at the end of June, and so we got going early with a selection process to find someone to follow him. And that first step was to find a selection firm, a headhunting firm that would help us find applicants for the post. And we picked Bob Murray and Associates. We worked with Gary Phillips from there, and he put out the call for applications after listening to the council and their desires on our new leader. That led to 3, I believe, applications, and they were screened by the consultant. He presented them all to us, all 50, 10 of them recommended for potential interview. 5 of the 10 are or recently were acting or city managers, and some others were in director positions. The council then selected 7 of those 10 that were presented for interview, and be coming up later this month. So tonight we want to find out what concerns you have here around this, what you believe the strengths are here in the city, and what characteristics you desire in a new leader here. This is really the most important job that the council has, is to pick the right city manager. This is our #1 thing, and want to get it right. It's the same way with a school board superintendent. It's just really critical, because the person in this role carries out the direction of the council and has a lot to do with how things work here in the city. So we're going to do our very best, and we decided to have focus, and which essentially this is, we called it a town hall meeting, I think, but it's more like a focus group because of the size here. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is make a match the best candidate for this city. That's all designed to lead to, and we'll be happy if we do that, and that all 5 council members agree with that. So that's all about, and we should know more by the beginning of May about the next steps. Okay? Questions? Okay, your person.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you for coming from all of us. We really, really appreciate it, because it is your town, and we need to hear your voice. So as we go through the process, just make sure you're vocal and express it, and you actually, you know, don't hold anything back, because we need to hear it, because this is your town. I know some members of the audience won't hold back, but some of you others might. I want to make sure all have the opportunity to express your opinions, because it's very important for you to hear them, because this is your town, and we want to make sure the person we pick is representing you. So thank you once again for coming, and we'll kick it off. Are you going to ready to?
Thank you, Mayor. So the first question that we're going to cover is, what does the city manager know about El Segundo? What is unique about us as a town? So we have a small enough group. I'm just going to pull you all. We could do this a couple different ways. One is, normally when I have larger groups, I facilitate. Everybody takes a note. They put their name on the bottom and their idea. They put it on the wall, and we organize the ideas based on constructs. Like hometown feel might be one, for example. We could do that, or if you'd prefer, we could pass the mic along to through the audience, and everybody could hear. It would be easier to do that than to come up to the mic, but we have to capture it through either the microphone or that microphone. So what say you?
Can we go to that one first? Because I think that'll...
You want to go to what quality traits do you believe are? That was the first one, and I changed the order.
That was go this way, that's why.
Because the way I saw it, Ron, was what you think about El Segundo will help us lead to what qualities, traits do you believe are, yeah, or vice versa. So let's get back to the process. Yeah. Okay. So Carol's saying, I'm just going to repeat it because you don't have the mic right now, is that she's going to hand out the Post-it notes so that you either write it down, put it up on the board, and then we'll discuss it, or you could just take notes on it. It's something to write either way. Okay. So I'm going to do a little vote. Who would prefer to use the Post-it notes, record the notes, put up on the board, and do it that way? Raise your hand, please. Who would prefer to pass the mic around and do it that way? Everybody. All right, we'll do that. So do you need a couple minutes? Let's get a couple minutes to think about that one. What should the city manager know about Segundo? What's unique about our town? And then when you write, do we have Sharpies? Okay, awesome. When you write it, yeah, good. When you write it, please write in caps so we can read it. If you'd like, put your name on the bottom of that, because we're going to be recording all these, right, and Mona? We're going to be recording all this information, and then we'll be disseminating to the city council. So everyone have one? what we're going to do is people are going to write down their idea, then we're going to have them put it up on the probably board right here, and we'll organize the thoughts. So let's just take a couple minutes. Everybody clear on the instructions? You have a Post-it, Sharpie, write down your idea. Please make sure we can read it. It's legible. Put it up on the board, then we'll talk about it. Take as much time as you. Yeah, if you thanks, Lily. On the one can't fit on the sheet, then we'll put it. I'll move these over and we'll put it below it. I don't see any move hands. What's going on? You guys pay. Dave's just writing something down. I don't know. Grocery list? Awesome. Yeah. Who has one that they want to put up there? Yeah, Ron.
I think it comes down to whoever the hire is and whoever we pick needs to understand that we've got Fortune 500 companies here, all the way down to a yarn shop or a coffee shop. And that's big there. And whoever in that position has to understand the importance of both. The Fortune 500 is just as important as, say, the Blue Butterfly is across the street. Because they're both in El Segundo, and they have to understand those qualities.
Thanks, Ron. So it's basic kind of the dichotomy. You got like the Fortune 500 and the small town and how you balance those two. Did I capture that right? Okay, cool. You want to explain that?
Well, similar to Ron is the new city manager needs to know that the majority of city budgets come from business. I don't know if that's typical in other cities, but certainly it's here in El Segundo.
Oh, thanks, Lily. Yeah, so Lily's saying that it's unique. It is unique based on what I've learned. I'm sure Don and Carol would agree. It's unique to have more than 95% of your revenue base come from business as opposed to residential. Okay, we got one over here. Here we go.
Oh, I was just going to say that the family community generations on generations, so it's something different than other areas.
For sure. So multi-generational families. Thank you very much. Wow, great handwriting. There's Don, hers. But you're too. Okay, so so far we got multi-generational families. We have the revenue base being largely almost entirely commercial. The difference, the balance between the big business, yeah, audiences, residential and large business. What else over here? Employees can comment too, you know. Kevin, you're always writing, but see anything right now. Yes, over here. There you
go. What I was thinking, I agree with the previous comments, but I think what's really critical at this picture in the city could be a person that can identify what's missing. You know, how do we take old business base and expand it, go further, take it further into the 21st century? So it's more of what do we not have that's not attracting even more businesses?
Others, clerk was telling me hard to hear you, but what you said was new city managers should understand the business base and what's missing, what we need to attract. Sure. Okay, great. Thank you very much. What's your name? Thanks. Okay. Carol.
No, I just want to compliment Mark. Mark is new to town, not relatively new, and he's already really engaged. I met him at the El Segundo High School Career Day, so for I was trying to remember where I had connected, and I just made the connection.
Thanks for being here. Welcome to town. Yeah. Okay, who else? Anyone else? Yes.
I just wanted to expand on that, saying I think another attribute would be to be able to expand business in a very limited space. Let's face it, we don't have a lot of open space left. So that's going to be a unique skill to have.
Great point. 2 square miles with which to build the business base, right? Which is already fairly dense. Okay. Did you have a comment over here? Do we need to bring you up to speed on the? So what we're doing is just thank you for being here. 4 questions. I want to compile some information and bring back to the rest of the city council, which will help us guide the next city manager we're going to bring on board. So the first question is, what should the city manager know about El Segundo? What's unique about us? We already heard just the difference between huge companies in a small residential town. I'm sure you can't read this left-handed writers. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, Dr. Brett. He's a teacher. You can't read teachers formally.
I think El Segundo is unique because even though we're now long-timers, is that El Segundo is both people who have been here and new people. And so we're really not the area I moved into, but we also are not a brand new community with all new residents. So there's a challenge of this community, whether it's, hate to bring up a topic, people used to paying for the pool and now we may ask them to pay for the pool. We do have to transition, and I think that is a challenge in the community. I think, as you know, as mayor now, there's pushback on some things that have just been the same way forever. And so I think that's something the city, it's like when you manage a brand that has heritage, you have to know the heritage, but to bring it into the future at the same time.
That was so eloquent. Did you catch that, Don? Like, appreciate the heritage, but bring it into the future. And also wrote down of new and long-standing. It was kind of like what you were saying earlier, that you multi-generational, long-standing families. But the last 5 years, the last 10 years, there's been a real influx of people that grown up in Manhattan Beach or the West Side or whatever. So, very good. Thank you. Yeah, Dave.
So everything that's been said, but I would add on the economic front. I think the new city manager needs to understand the unique economic drivers of El Segundo, right? The Los Angeles Air Force Base, aerospace community, the new emerging tech community, and understand not only those as economic drivers, but the city manager needs to be in a position to be able to look ahead and understand where the trends are going and where the changes are coming from, because disruption is happening at a huge pace. And we're blessed by the economic base we have in this city, but we can't take it for granted, and we need to be thinking about the future constantly and not just relying on the present and the past.
Thanks, Dave. Similar to what Mark said, which would understand the space, right? What's unique about it. The other comment you made, Dave?
Understanding the urgency for the change, the understanding not only the business space, but what's very specific about the business space, what's unique about the business space, and then drivers for change that are coming and being ahead of it. That's the
great point. Like one example, retail, always super important to us, but changing. There's companies popping up everywhere that want to take advantage of empty space in retail now. The airport. Did you say the airport as well? The Air Force Base, live, work. Okay. He's got it. Great. Yes.
I think in all things, and I have had the pleasure of dealing with the City Council and the Planning Commission on a difficult issue, okay? And I have found that this city is just slow to do this. I'm being kind, okay? And think we have to be more proactive. I think whether it's scooters, whether it's the tech base, how we're going to use our space, what we're going to do to accommodate a wonderful economy. You should read our Yelp reviews for our restaurants. I mean, it's awesome. But we are slow to adapt and respond in a proactive way, because I've been told in meetings, well, that's not what we do. Okay? And so no, in today's business environment that is sped up, we have faster and more proactive to think of the opportunities and how they mix going forward, and not say, well, that's not El Segundo. Well, maybe it is, and we've been slow to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You get that one done? Okay. City is slow to respond and react. We need to be more proactive and anticipate better. Yes. Yeah.
I think one of the is the history of our interaction with X. Know what we've gone through and where it go, because it's not going anywhere. And we're in a unique spot where we're penalized and we have the benefits at the time. We get a lot of income from, but we're penalized because of traffic and parking and things like that. So whoever's coming in really has to know the book on what's going on over there, because that's going to be our one issues that they're going to face, especially with what's coming down the road with terminal and everything else.
Thank you, Ron. One of the things that we talked about, and I'll just say that Don, Carol, and I, and the others, is our current city manager is like a walking encyclopedia. It helps that he was capable of the planning department, but he has all this knowledge in his head and a way to crack that into a repository of sorts. Fortunately, in the room, similar, have been through many different councils as well. But that is going to be a challenge because there's a ton of history with LAX and with the Air Force Base and many different things in town. So,
yeah, I'm not counting anything within the city limits. That's not in our control, but we can help control it. What we have to learn how to do. We have to learn how to do that.
your sheet, and we do have female candidates. Who else did we? Oh, no, mark another one.
One of the things actually Carol and I spoke about was the one to be able to negotiate, walk this fine line between local agency jurisdiction versus what's coming or being regulated by the state. And be able to have someone who can speak on behalf of the city, be involved in the different organizations to help promote the values that the city wants. That's really key, I think, is going to be the next decade, because the state is starting to really start to put its thumbprint on not just El Segundo, every jurisdiction in the state, trying to solve wide problems. And so the city needs to be able and that discussion.
So council savviness almost, and being up with what's going on, everything that's going on in Sacramento, and even federally. Okay, thanks. Lily has one.
This really is important, all the ones up there, but I think we need to tell he or she about our town, the citizens, and the fact that they expect immediate feedback and results faster than the city can do it, right? Oftentimes it's unreasonable. So he or she needs to know that.
I'm glad you said that, and not, she wrote it down if you want. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Lily. Carol.
It's funny, just before you said that, I actually had a little chuckle to myself. I was hoping, I'm assuming all the candidates are actually watching the forum, and all these people that are here, wave to them, because where you are, these are your people, and these are the people that will be coming more often than not.
Now, can we track whether or not they're watching? Because that would be good to know. No, sorry, city. No, yes.
That statement. We heard a long time ago that what was more important in the city manager was the economic interests, let's say east of Sepulveda, or some larger projects. And I've heard it. And there were times when I was on a street commission and it just floundered because no one government. To be honest, it wasn't. And so I do believe they have to understand what makes this community tick, but it has to be the economic interests of this city, which are, we are blessed to have diverse economic interests. We're actually fortunate to be to be next to the airport because of the economic opportunity. But we are also a community. I think for a long time, with the city, the community has come in first or second. And I think they have to lead and tell the people who work in the city that the community matters. Just because I'm not the LA Times arrangement, my issue matters as a homeowner and a resident as much as the LA Times. And I know that sounds crazy to say that, but we have someone that at least makes me feel that. And that hasn't happened.
How would you, I guess, what is the outcome that you would be looking for? Like, how would that be different in the future?
First, I think that the city manager is largely a leadership. As a leader, it means that everyone working in this city has to know that the interests of the individual people who live here are important. And I don't think that message is gotten through to everyone who works here based on my experience. Okay, so first of all, it's a leadership position. Secondly, in the community, we do more of these. More people come out. It's more of this open outreach. Because we, the community, have to then hold your feet to the fire, other than voting every few years, and say, yes, it does matter. So it's getting us, it's engaging us, and having forums like this, and I thank you for that. But at the same time, having every person who sits at a desk, and that city manager is a leader, and how they think about the community, and how they think about every call that comes in, they need to make sure that that happens throughout. They're going to come in and lead a group, whether it's morale, training, motivation, reviews on, excuse me, I heard you talk to a resident this way. Right. Okay? That's how it happens, because this is a leader. They're not the one doing all the work. And so they have to transform our professional staff.
So set the tone at the top that the voice of the resident is as important, if not more important, than the business, and hold people accountable to that standard, essentially. Okay. Okay, thanks. All right. Does anyone have any other thoughts on this one item? We're good? Fourth one? Okay, Ron wants me to move. Anyone opposed to going to the... No? Going once, going twice? Okay, what qualities and traits do you believe are important for this person to possess? We'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll pass the mic along. Yeah, we'll take pictures of all the notes that we're putting up. Okay, great. So I'll move this one over.
This picture's quite old, too. So
yeah, we need a new one anyway. I'm just kidding. It is not in the budget. Nothing's in the budget. I'm just kidding. This will be item number 38 on our capital improvement project, replacing the... Should be 2038. Oh, I'm just kidding. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so who wants to start? What qualities and traits do you believe are important for this person to possess? Mr. Swanson.
Okay, so when I heard this, and I started thinking, and that's a really great question, because being in business running my own business for 43 plus years, I think the traits would be, say if you take a big bag, and the first one you put in is a trait of a CFO. and a CEO. Those all go like something to do with HR. A sales and marketing person that has that experience. I think one of the biggest traits that you can get, if somebody has come through here, and mind you, they've got to know law, all the protocols that go with running a city municipality. But one of the biggest traits if they've ever been in private business. A lot of people go to the banks or do automatic deposit, or they the back of their check. I want he or she or he one that has signed front of a check, because that means they know what it's like to make sure that you've taken care of your employees week after week and make sure that payroll is there. Now, mind you, not gonna check, he or she is not going to go check the bank does. It's important that they understand what the employees go through to really do their job. And as much, I mean, if you want to hire a CEO, and you title him that, and you guys are the board of directors, but let that person run the city. You know, they're going to go with the guy 5 that's there. But I always tell my employees, especially the 2 that are going to be taking which are my 2 sons, you know, I'll show you once. Do it. Do it that way again, we're going to have a nice long. So it's important to have the person at the top understand that, know all the process, all those. That's it.
Thank you. You haven't had to fire your son yet, like I have. I haven't lived and done that. Or your dad. I had to fire my dad and rehire him twice too. Never my mother. No way. She's a. I keep giving her more jobs. Okay. Who else? Yeah.
I want a life learner. I don't want someone who thinks they know everything. I want someone who knows that what they learn today will change tomorrow. Because it's changing, the laws are changing, business environment, how we live is changing, and I don't want someone who comes in and says, well, I did this way everywhere else, and this is how it's done. Okay? And I think that's very, very important. I also want someone who challenges everything and says why. I want data, I want support, and I want someone to be able to say, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or the data support what I first believed. Again, in 2019, every city is facing new challenges that just didn't exist 5 years ago. We didn't know about scooters, we didn't know about home sharing, a lot of things. And I think anybody in a leadership position, private or public, has to have a very open mind, learning, but positive, supported by the facts. Supported facts, data.
Yeah, she wants that supported by. Would you have that? Oh, you did. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. I mean, so we have vertical takeoff and landing craft landing in our town. It's not that far off. It's not that far off. Who's next?
I'll just build off a little Ron said in the notes. I have a get it done attitude. Get it done. Good or bad, get it done. And then have the confidence of the council to get it done. So you all need to hire someone that you have the confidence in that they can get it done. And then put them to work to get it done.
No yes person.
Thanks, Tim.
Sound job description, but strong communication skills, an advocate, a leader, problem solver, good listener, decision maker, can execute, and on their feet.
I like it. Yes. Here, I'll put it right here for if you need the reference. Very well. Very good. Thank you.
We probably should have brought the brochure announcement about this job, because as like you just said, we're in the job announcement out to the field, and those are all good things you said, and we all of that. Researchers, at the end of the day, you want like somebody who walks on water and has everything, and there won't be anybody a pool of applicants that can do all things, so you do the best you can, match the most of them and shore up there. Those are all great things.
Thanks. Yes, yes.
I think we all want experience. I also think that many companies and all of us have found someone that was more, maybe not 100%, 90% there yet, but was a great learner, had all the basic qualities, and maybe they were willing to make a commitment with it. So is there someone that wants to grow with us? And I think you shouldn't, I teach college, I see young people that I would hire, and then I'd be willing to work with them. So I think that we shouldn't just be looking at who check all the boxes from an experience, but person grow with our city.
Recap, value fit, obviously, open learning, life learner, and not necessarily, even if they don't necessarily have all the experiences that we're looking for. Yeah. Yeah, got it. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Oh, and Lily too, that?
Just accountability and owning it. So taking action.
100%. We're talking about that a lot in the last couple of years. Okay.
You guys are coming up with some stuff. I feel good, but I'm still going to tell you what I feel. I feel like the city manager should be more engaged and involved in the community. He or she, hopefully she or he, will be out there and meet the people and meet the business and know what's going on. You can't do that sitting in an office all day long. And then secondly, and I don't mean this offensive, the city manager should not play. She should not pick the mayor, no offense, mayor, or the mayor, or anybody else over all five. All five of them should have equal knowledge.
Thank you. Those are good ones. Oh, you have them already, Carol? Okay. Put them up. Transparency and ethics. Oh. Hold on. I got to capture that. Thank you.
Okay. Transparency and ethics. Manager job is really at the center of a lot of practice and things, and there's been some public, let's say, misuse of the public trust. So I don't know how you do that, but transparency and ethics is important to every city manager, and there have been some sort of pretty poor public experiences. Yeah.
I don't mean El Segundo locally, I mean South Bay locally. Yeah, thank you. Dave.
So I don't know if this is the place for this or not, but it builds off a couple of things. Don't settle. Okay, you've got 7 candidates that your finalists are. Council said that a few of them were former city managers or directors or things. Open the lens wider. This is El Segundo. You're home to a massive corporation in Chevron. You've got the Los Angeles Air Force Base. You've now got the Los Angeles Times. You've got so many assets in this small city that we should have the 3 finalist folks that no matter who those 3 are, you're going, wow, how do I choose amongst those 3 finalists? This is El Segundo. This is not one of the other 88 cities. This is a great, we shouldn't settle. Don't settle.
Great one, Dave.
That's absolutely correct, and I feel like if we aren't pleased after the 7 interviews, that we should scuttle this search and do it again until we get it right and market it in a different way than we did it first. But we've got to make the match here, and yeah, we'd like to get it done in the next few weeks. But if we don't, then we always use an interim and do it again. So I totally agree with that comment.
Thanks, Dave. We're hiring LeBron. Is that what you're suggesting? Hold on.
And I. That was good. Okay, I don't want to. If the figure, I don't don't need to know it, but when you guys went out for posting, was there a salary range in with it, or did you, or are most of your applicants coming in?
Given our HR municipal code, there is a range. Or Dave, want to address that? David or Dave or Don? Don.
I think we didn't name a number like 140,000. I think we talked about it'll be based on experience and match. Perhaps we should have posted a number there to attract people to this city, because these city manager salaries and dates are shrinking. People don't want to do this job. It's like school superintendent. It's a lot harder nowadays, very complex. Chances are you're not going to make it that many years before you need to go to the next spot. So we're going to have to look at the quality of the seven out there to see if anything comes close. And it's difficult to come here to Southern California if you're living in Yuba City. That's like the state, right? So that's another issue we have here, is how do you afford to live in California? You've been living in a really remote place, and some of our applicants are like that. Yeah.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, Lily.
Are you allowed to say what the makeup of the hiring committee looks like? Is it all your faces, or are there people from the community, or what does it look like?
The 5 city council members will deliberate a decision, and we do a bunch of interviews. I mean, we're interviewing everybody. It's extensive. This is part of the process as well. But as I mentioned earlier, we only have 2 hires, city manager and city attorney. And it's going to be challenging to get 5 of us on the same page, I think, unless there's a clear-cut, cream right at the top. So having never been through the hired plenty of people in my career, but I have not hired a city manager that reports to 5 people. It's a very, Don touched, it's a difficult job. This is not like hiring someone to run my company and they got a couple hundred employees. This is a couple hundred employees, plus you have 5 people that you report to, plus you have to know the ins and outs of the state law, plus you have to know the Brown Act. I mean, you have to guess what the council, what direction they're heading at all times. It's challenging. So anyway, Don.
It's very challenging, demanding, but done. Just was involved in a search week before last for an association of California small school districts. We had 17 applications, down to 4. There are 10 people on there that were waiting and listening to the 4, and hoping we could reach a consensus. And when the interviews were over, 9 of the 10 board members selected one of the 4 as number 1, and the 10th member selected him as number 2. So it was really a clear-cut decision. He knocked it out of the park. That's not always going to happen, and sometimes you come out divided. And if I'm a city manager, a school superintendent, I don't take the job on a divided vote of the council. It's hard enough. If you're going to come on a 3-2, you're just a step away from going down. So you need to be 5-0. Go in.
Thanks, Don. Okay, we got follow-on questions, I think.
And this is, I'm a business consultant, so I teach college. But I want a city that doesn't worry about what each of the 5 city council members, I want him to, he or she to speak up and say, this is what I believe is best for the city of El Segundo. And that is this person's most important mission, vision. I didn't take a job where if every day I tried to worry what 5 different people thought about and the 5 people changed, and not that you're all committed to El Segundo, but what I'm saying is the only way to do this job, or many, is very focused on how we define success for the good of the city of El Segundo. And there are times the council is going to agree, it's okay, and there are times the council will agree. But if you go in day trying to please and get 5 people to like you, you're not going to be very good at your.
So can you add to that? 'Cause I think what you're saying is strong conviction and being able to stand up for what you believe in, despite which direction you think the council might be headed, right? For the city of El Segundo.
It's residents, the people who work here, the people who visit here today and in the future.
Thank you, Ron.
I'll expand on that. It's like I go back to the CEO. They're responsible for shareholder value. The shareholders. The council is the board. You shouldn't be worried about one of the 5 or 2 of the 5. We can't have a fence sitter up there. That's not what we're hiring. And I'm going to tap on what Don said. If the 5 of you don't vote, you're voting for the wrong guy or girl, woman. It doesn't matter. Because you're going to have that person looking over their shoulder saying, I got 1 strike against me already. It's got to be, Carl and I talked about earlier, it's got to be 5-0. There's too many times in this, it's gone number of deals, 3-2, and whether it's an applicant for a project or whatever it might be, program, and it goes 3-2. That's not showing a vote of confidence to the person you just voted the affirmative to, or the program you voted to. And they're going to be looking over their shoulder.
Thank you. Carol's saying she put that, you want to stay, sorry, just on the mic.
Let's see if I captured it correctly. Provide opinion, but don't just rely on the council to recommend change. Don't just try to plead strong convictions for residents, businesses, capital L, Segundo. Think of the community business as shareholders.
Okay. What else? Carl, we haven't heard from you yet. Anything to add? Carl's, yeah, he's, want to add anything? Okay. Carl's worked with plenty of years time, that's for sure. Yeah, what's going on over here? Bro. Just here for the popcorn? There is no popcorn. Telling you. Okay. So did we beat to death? Are we good? All right. On what? I can't remember. I think it might be this one. Okay. What is the preferred method of interaction that you want the city manager to have with the community? And what are the most important topics to communicate? Ron's out first. That's good. You want one? Here you go, Ron.
Okay, so it's real easy. Once a quarter, farmers market night, ties, they're out there. Just out in the plaza, farmers market, starting maybe at 3 or 4 o'clock. You can do it once a quarter, just to interact with the community. If you really want to know what's going on, you hear it out on the street.
I like it. Hold on. Mona had that's a good one.
Don't eat lunch in your office, okay? That's what you tell them to do when they are out of touch with what's going on, is they should not eat lunch in the office.
I love that. Get out in the community at lunchtime, talk to people, engage. Great. What else? You guys just exhausted, had enough? You got one.
It's a concept I'm not sure how it work, but the way we use Nixle for the police report, is there a way to build upon that for get word out to the community?
So we've been talking a lot about that. We've got now Voss, deputy manager in charge of communications as well as economic development. And as Mona touched on others, we have a long way to go there in terms of anticipating. That actually has come up several times this week alone where something happened. Residents are asking us questions that we could have easily easily, but we could have anticipated and had an answer for, even if we don't have an answer yet, to say looking into it. And so, and like a push out information from the city manager, potentially, maybe not urgent as, but still a way to get to everybody, right?
Exactly. And that to keep the people informed. So people who want to be informed, they can subscribe to it, and then it could be just simple, you know, the city council meeting where we're going to discuss Blue Butterfly. If you're interested, come to it, or something like that.
Drew and I were talking about this, is how do we get more people? One of the hearing is, how do we get people to come to the council meetings? Because in the past, years ago, a lot of people used to come, and it's dwindled. Sometimes it's just the staff's here. So one of the things is that we do a better job of proactively informing people the topics that are to be on the agenda, so that they can say, hey, this is something I actually participate in, rather than waiting, because they're not going to listen. They're not going to go to our website to find the agenda, to see what's on the agenda. We actually proactively texted that out or put it on Facebook or whatever the medium, to let people know, hey, this is going to be a topic. And I know Drew's been trying to do that ad hoc, but we just need to formalize that process, and so that we're reaching out proactively so people are aware of what we're going to be discussing in advance, so they can be prepared and have a proper dialogue with the community.
One of the big items that we've been waiting to do, we actually started it and then we decided to scrap it. We weren't necessarily happy. Now we're restarting is with the website. And the new city website will be a good platform for doing that, if desired. So we're user requirements and doing it the right way. So that's critical. Mona?
I don't think the El Segundo Herald serves as an for our community. I'm being gracious, okay? There is a Facebook group for the moms, which I was told to promote my cause. Forget city stuff. Go to that Facebook page, but you have to read about a lot of school stuff to get through to your thing. I do think in the age of social media, we have to be more proactive. When we walk the dog, we actually read pieces of paper. I actually have a cell phone that I could actually get and look at there. I mean, modern. So we're still reading pieces of paper to find out what's going on, and I think the city should do it. And I think you will get more and more people engaged, and maybe we campaign. Beverly Hills did one because of the metro, to get everyone to sign up online so they wouldn't have to send notice. Okay, and and we're going to do it. People, not that many. I think most of the community will engage. They are engaged in schools, and so I believe we can do it. And I don't believe we should rely on the El Segundo Herald to do it. And the website needs updating.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I think technology is at the point now. You said interests are anything related to the Lakes Golf Course, anything related to whatever. You should be able to, if there's information coming out, it just feeds to you because it's up on the keywords and the content. So the technology is already out there. We just need to get with the times on that one for sure. Agree. Okay, who's going? Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, this is actually an area that I actually cover on a regular basis. So we have to be careful here, though, in terms of oversaturating people. We discovered, I'm VP of Public Information for chapter board, a state chapter board. We discovered that all sorts of mechanisms. We have newsletters, we have website, we have social media, we have e-blasts, and competing with our own sections that are part of the chapter. We have to be careful and not flood people to the point where they're shut down. So you had just mentioned targeted. So, have a mechanism in which people can say, I'm interested in this topic, a housing topic, or I'm interested in transportation, mobility, and then, people sign up on those areas. But I think it is important from a city manager standpoint that he or she make it known that he is there to listen to the constituents and to address their needs, but he also wants them to be proactive in a wide range of engagement exercises, whether it's a specific plan or the garbage, ones I heard recently, I heard complaints. People didn't know that they could vote by mail on this topic. They turned around complaining because it's been passed without any notice. And I'm like, there was notice. There was plenty of notice. There was notices. There was mailers. It's just a matter of getting people to understand that there are many mechanisms, and it's a matter of helping them kind of filter out what's important to them so that they can focus on those issues. But I think right track, make sure that there is a approach on part of the city manager, the farmers market tool, having lunch out in the, out in, in the community, any other tool. Some cities coffee with so and so every other Friday or something like that. So.
I mean, you haven't heard of coffee with the mayor at the Blue Butterfly? I usually get like one person shows up. Usually it's my mom. No, I'm just she does show up. Carol, yeah, Carol took over when we got a conflict. It was packed. And then Ron.
Okay. I also, and it's my experience, I think the city should centralize some communication on status of issues that are important to us, and maybe not put that in the hands of employees. They may not know when and how best to communicate with residents, because there are issues there are things that have issues attached, and maybe don't want to trust that to be between me and a planning commission person. Maybe you want to look at that it coming from a place where the city's getting, the residents are getting some information in a form that, at a level that maybe we take something upstairs, so it's it's better information, but we don't rely on someone at a desk nervous what can't a resident.
Touch real quick, and then I'll pass it to Lily. One of the things that I've learned is, because I also deal with the board and many different people that volunteer, so I send out monthly, this is the message of the month, so that everyone's clear of what we're trying to accomplish in that month. For the leadership role, this is the message of the month, so that every employee has an understanding that these are the topics that are going to be on, that the key topics that communities want to know, and here's how to answer them or the information.
I think I wanted to say, and I agree with most everything that was said, especially the information saturation. So I work for a big company, and there's so much information coming at me, I just shut down. So to be really careful, be very targeted. The other thing I want to say is to caution that we don't make decisions based on just the 10 people or so in this room. There are people who still read the news. I'm sorry, there are people who still read the newspaper, so it's not fair for us to only push out information electronically without understanding our community.
Yeah, so multi-mediums, like use all mediums available to us. Paper, print.
Communicate all segments.
Okay. And use mediums, right? I think, yeah. Thanks, Ron.
A while back, there was a program where the CM or the mayor would go out in the community, large or small, and visit business, and we'd hear about it. I think that's critical again, and again pushing it out through media.
Good. Okay, so city manager and/or mayor, president, council, visiting businesses. We've been doing that through the EDAC facility, as you know, but this is going to be an addition. Volunteering Al-Kiahi, great, thank you. No, that's a good one. Lily.
I actually want to add, that's a really important idea, and I think he or she should have that on their schedule in the first 100 days. Pick the big businesses, pick the businesses, but get of the flavor of the businesses. That should be really right away.
Not just go to the big ones.
Great, Lily and Ron, just go to the big ones. Anyone want to expound on this particular topic? I think we got it. That's a good one. Anything else in terms of preferred methods of interaction, and what are the most important topics to communicate? Can we go off script, Dave, and ask a follow-on question? So for 90 days or whatever it is Don mentioned, and we get a manager, and as we talked about earlier, we've got this weird in this massive business, I mean, biomed, every industry, entertainment, sports, technology, whatever. And then you've got this 1 square mile of incredible, quaint residential that feels West Town. How do we get the city manager, you guys, the best ways in terms of getting the city manager acclimated with the residents? We heard some ideas about the business, but how can you get that person, that guy or gal up to speed? How to meet people in the community? We're multi-generational families here. We have a long legacy in this town. What's the best way to introduce this? This is okay, right, Dave? I'd like to hear, if this is okay with you, Don and Carol, just some ideas about how do we introduce this person to the community, to people in the community, make those connections for him or her. I mean, you got the groups, you got Kiwanis, et cetera, but yeah, Ron.
It's got to go back to the old-fashioned meet and greet. It really has to. I mean, whether you tie it into what's coming up, what's the one in Fire Hometown? Well, that's a little too early. They don't even have one by then. At 4th of July? When do they do fire safety and do the pancake and all that? By, but something like that, where we're not, the community is going to come because they know, little guy, we're going to give you a fire hat. Oh, by the way, the city is going to be there too. Come and meet them. Engage them in the community. It can't just be the chamber events, and it's got the community events. A lot out here, and we're bringing farmers market, we're bringing the fruit or something.
That is so true. The basic rule is show up, okay? And I see a lot of school superintendents that don't go to community events or schools, city managers the same way. If you show up, you'll get your meet and greet, and you'll get the people across the town. But if you just stay in your office, it doesn't happen, and you're a mystery to people, and you don't understand their needs because you didn't listen. So show up.
One of the best ways in the city to do that is to meet the new police chief. When he came, you guys had this massive event, and all of us got to walk up, shake his hand, and hear a little bit about him. He met us and so on. I thought that was awesome. Never seen it done with a city manager, but it'd be a great way.
John, the marketing person in me says, we don't just to show up, but I want him, we won't make him wear a badge. Talk to me, I'm the new city manager. But we have to kind of put some signage or direction, because otherwise it won't happen with enough people. So you can't just have someone show up, you have to promote it. And at the event, there has to be some marketing around it.
I'm sure for those of you in corporate, you've been at those like awkward network events where like, oh, someone's going to get a prize for learning the most interesting things about Fred, Frank, whatever. So I could envision like him or her wearing a hat, like a manager hat, and people go up and something about him or her, and then vice versa, because I get to see the city manager getting inundated too with gosh, let me tell you about my water bill or whatever. I don't know what's going on, but it'd be positive and all for sure. But
you could also have it where the city manager is there kind of on his own talking to 3 people, and someone else says, yeah, he's there, but I don't know if I should talk to him. So you do have to make, like we do at corporate events, some kind of activity around it. You have to stimulate the engagement.
I agree. Yeah, that's great. Yes. Thanks, Ryan.
I got really interested in city politics when Mayor Mike Gordon came to the middle school, visited there. So I think the city news could have a presence with the youth at the schools and get them engaged in activities rolling in. I think that would be important as well.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. Who else? The Kiwanis float, meet everybody.
kidding. No, I'm serious. The meet and greet, I think, in the first 90 days. And we either do it out here, we maybe buy out Rock and Brews one night, we get some sponsors to do it, and hey, come over, especially during the summer when it's nice dog, come and see meet the city manager, have a couple of hors d'oeuvres or what you do, and go from there. But Chief was the right idea. Come out and meet him.
Thanks, Ron.
Programs that you've seen on Facebook about to go into a community and have a pickup basketball game, and maybe we do have a game of with the manager and the police chief and because we want people to realize that these are as well, and they're part of the community as well, and not just a leader. They're part of the community because they'll never be able to lead the community if they're not in the community.
Thank you.
Malibu is doing Saturday morning because of the fires and the disasters, and they're basically saying here 10 to 12 Saturday, these 2 Saturdays, come talk to us. And so we also set up some times and do that when people are off of work and maybe out and about, but working, because my friend in Malibu who did not lose her house, thank God. But people showing up because they have questions and they engage. So we could set that up, and they're just on Saturday mornings from 10 to 12.
You just got people coming in Friday.
Well, the city manager, isn't he? He's not an he's salaried. Come in on a Saturday.
Yeah, I'm on that. Right.
In a nutshell, I mean, person they got to buy into our community, 100% for at least, and it's going to be monumental first year because there's going to be a lot going on. Maybe slack off a little bit after that, but for the first 365 days of employment here, you got to be 100% buy-in to this community to understand it.
Thank you, Lily.
Does the city require the city managers to live in the city of El Segundo?
I don't believe that they written. Oh, David King saying that is not a requirement, and I'll tell you. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we add that as a requirement?
David says no, and I think it would require a code change or a municipal code, like all the factors Dr. Brandt talked about. We have to weigh all the criteria, and we've been fortunate enough that we've had someone who's been available and so around. I think one of the things that she or he doesn't live here, we have to find ways to balance that with the deputy city manager, communications, so that people feel like even if that person's not here, we and all of you view ways to get answers when we need them quickly. So, but it's a valid point. Yeah.
But all the years I've lived here, we've always had the city manager in El Segundo, so that's something new, right?
I'm trying to think. Well, no. What about who's the guy from went to Long Beach? He didn't live here. Jeff Stewart. I don't think he lived here. But in this case, Don, you had a thought, right?
Yeah. I'm a school superintendent, very similar thing, for 35 years, and what you want to do there is not live in the community, but you want to be nearby. So here in El Segundo and being superintendent of Wiseburn, that was a perfect. When I was up in Petaluma, I lived in the city. My daughters went to the high school, and occasionally it didn't work out so good for the family. And so this type of arrangement is good. So get somebody who'd live in Holly Glen or Dell or something like that. It work fine for us. It's hard to get into this community now. The prices, and we're not going to pay enough for somebody to buy one of those here. Nearby works too. If a person's going to live, in Riverside, I don't think it's good, because you see these Californians out lifestyles, and they're burning up a lot of their energy and their time on the road, and it's what we need in a leader, somebody that would accept without distance between home. And homes should be important. I want somebody that cares about their family and all of that, and isn't, 24/7 working on the city. They have a healthier lifestyle. But we're just fortunate right now. We have somebody walked home from work all this time. Probably not going to get that again.
Okay. Do you have permission to move on? Everyone good with that? Anyone opposed? Last one, home stretch. We're right on time.
Mr. Mayor.
What?
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor, can I interject really quick?
Of course.
So regarding residency,
Hold on one sec, Ron. We got the city attorney speaking. Hold on.
regarding the residency, I say something really quick. In the municipal code, it does mention that the city has to be a resident, but my understanding is that state law does not allow us to enforce that. So I just want to make it clear that in the municipal code there is something about residency, but my understanding is that, and I'll check Mark on this, but I think that cities can enforce it, and I think that's the reason why in the past there's been managers who did not live in the city. So.
Thanks for clarifying that, David. Okay. So, okay, thanks for clarifying. Okay, next question. What challenges facing our city and what skills are needed to address them? Similar to what we've talked about, but if there's anything new that surfaces for you. Absolutely.
You guys talk about it on sustain budget. You can't sustain your budget. I don't know how you want to word it, but that would be number one. No. Yeah, fiscally focused is fine, but I think it's even more than that. Structural deficit.
We got a deficit come in 18 months without a recession, is what I think she's referring to. Thank you.
I would like to get back to a Main Street plan, a real vision of we want Main Street to look like, not just for the people who live here, but all the people who come in to use our restaurants and everything else. And I think that a Main Street plan and a vision for El Segundo is a commitment that we have to make versus saying, well, the property owner can do whatever they want with their property, but we need to look at, we've been there before and didn't quite succeed at it. Certainly, the way I understand from my participation, we've got an upcoming issue of housing and development east of Florida coming up. What? East of PCH. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No, but brand important. East of PCH. And I think that is what our community looks like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So even though that's not an immediate now issue, that I say it's a big issue.
Do you mean, Mona, recently has said we're done with this topic for a while? But I'll say the caveat is that we're seeing increasing pressure from Sacramento. There's bill after bill after bill to mandate cities add housing along Metro Pass, along employment areas. I mean, there's several with them right now up there. So I think is that what you're? It's probably more like that, right? Just okay. Thank you. Hold on. Yeah, you want to define that acronym for everybody?
Basically, SCAG, for example, becoming
Southern California Association
of Government's Rights. So the ones that sort of hold your arena numbers or assemble them, and in the past they haven't had much teeth to enforce. So state is now giving them more power to have teeth to be able to enforce using those numbers on local jurisdictions. So brings up a point. I've also thought that you can't avoid the housing issue east of PCH, but what you can do is look at a different type of housing, totally housing, a housing that is nothing like west PCH, a housing that's specifically for people who are working over there in the industrial business park. You have that kind of housing. You also lack housing for seniors. You have a lot of people who want to stay in the community and either can't because they physically can't, their environment doesn't allow them to stay in their home, they can't afford it. So I appreciate that the council has kind of dealt that question time and time again, but it's unavoidable. And instead of constantly putting up the roadblock, I think one of the challenges is figuring out a way to address those issues in a way that is palatable to the community. Yeah, exactly.
And satisfy the businesses that want a place for their employees to live.
Yeah, I heard that. I want to say also because we need employees, and I also add that I think unprecedented, or at least I can't recall, we have a new governor who actually sued one of the cities for not allowing a developer to build housing, and that was Huntington Beach. So I don't know where that's going, but certainly a new. Okay. Yes.
Just saying the challenges facing El Segundo are going to be the airport expansion, infrastructure, and state and local legislation and regulation.
Thank you very much. We just wrote a response letter to a notice of protection to LAX this week, actually, of their plan expansion for Terminal 0 and 9 east of Sepulveda. Some big things coming there.
Proactive code enforcement. Let's not be the city where if you don't quite do it the way you're supposed to do it, nothing happens. And I see that as an immediate versus a long-term vision.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nothing over there? All right, well, let's see. Don, Carol, I think a lot of good information. I'm going to turn it over to you two for any further or dialogue you have.
Well, thank you very much for the input. Relative small group, and we've got to on this group, of course, but look at all that you produced here in an hour and a quarter. Once it's started, it keeps coming. And as far as residential east of PCH, the council has avoided talking about that. It up a strategic planning. I will again this year, but I want to explain to me the advantages and disadvantages of having it or not having it, and we haven't had that conversation yet. Never have it.
I do want to thank everybody for coming. This has been really informative, and thank you for, I'm happy that everyone's here, realizes that we as a city council are here for you. We want to hear your voice because we do represent you. And anyone who is watching this, or are we going to post this? If they, are we going to accept if people want to email in? If people are watching this or want to add some or some bullets that we haven't captured here, how could they get that information to you?
They just need to email to all city council or all city clerks.
It to all city council or city clerk? Yeah.
You can. I'm just sure. You, Ron, go ahead.
But I do want to coming. Thanks for your commitment. An evening. We really do appreciate it because we need you as the voice to help us in our leadership.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks, everybody. We'll be in touch. We'll we move forward with him or her. We'll embrace some of those ideas you suggest. They're good ones. We'll find some money and we'll put together some kind of welcome party. I think that's a great idea. Thank you all.
I have a question. Oh. Is this going to be posted online?
We are going to. I'm going to trace way in here.
Yes. On the minutes will be approved, and then they'll be online. But it's not official until you approve the minutes.
Will we approve them at the April 16th meeting, or
no?
No. Okay. May probably, right?
But we can, we'll start working on it.
Okay. So Kevin probably made it. Does that work? No, go ahead. Take pictures. This is a public meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to reiterate the problems coming down to Sacramento. Like you said, the governor sued a city and just everything, right? The environmental policies, CalPERS, I would say, a lot to do with Sacramento. That's all bad. I think the city's doing a great job.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. And thank you for sitting through all of our council meetings. I think you beat Ron Johnson in a attendance record, but not Carl Jacobson. All right, Joe. Thank you very much. If you don't mind turning, though, before you leave, appreciate your thoughts on how we did. Thanks. Mona and David King and David Serrano and Dr. Brand and Mayor Pro Tem Perstook.